Derek J on the Angel Clark Show.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a six-born father. I wish I was like 6'9" so I could give it to Yoshi, cause she don't know me, but Yoshi's really fine. You know I see her all the time, everywhere I go, and even in my dreams, I can scheme a way to make her mine.
Hello and welcome! This is the Angel Clark Show, and filling in for Angel this evening, I am your host, Derek J. Freeman. You may know me from Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, my movie from 2012. You can catch it free online at victimlesscrimespree.com. You know, today, there are a lot of stories of Obama's scandals. Just this week, an LA street artist put scandalous posters of Obama's face just outside of the home where a fundraiser was being hosted just for Obama. $32,000 a plate. Yes, apparently Obama needs more of your money. Your tax money is not enough. He does his own private fundraisers in mansions. Yes, in Hollywood, of all places. And one LA street artist decided, and we don't know his name, but this artist decided to use his art to make a political statement. He put the image of Obama, the image of his campaign when we saw hope and change as the words underneath. Now the words read scandals. And this happens to be just outside of the mansion where the producer of the show Scandals lives, which is about a politician who endures innumerable scandals throughout his presidency, and that is indeed what has happened in real life. Art imitating reality. Well, today we see another news story from the GAO. Doesn't that stand for the Government Accountability Office? We should know that that's a joke. What kind of accountability you really get from an organization that has no complaint department, has no formal way? Oh, of course, you could take things to court, but let's see what happens when the government has to rule on whether or not the government has broken its own rules. Well, this story comes to us just from 3 hours ago from thenationaljournal.com on the same topic. An undercover operation found that the majority of fake Obamacare applications submitted were approved by the Health Law Enrollment System. Okay, so why is that a big deal? Fake applicants were able to get subsidized insurance coverage in 11 of 18 attempts, according to a report from the nonpartisan Government Accountability Office. So this is an office that would have every incentive to lie, to fudge the numbers, to make it seem better than it actually is. And they're probably the only organization that could actually get away with it, because they're right inside government. But here they are, admitting 11 out of 18 fake attempts were approved by the Health Laws Enrollment System. So what is that saying? The whole Obamacare law, these applications, anyone who applies gets approved. The findings will be discussed at a House Ways and Means hearing tomorrow, or this Wednesday. They were revealed in an advance copy of the testimony from Cito Bagdoyan, head of the GAO's Forensic Audits and Investigative Service, provided by the Associated Press. The undercover investigators created fake identities by inventing social security numbers, income, and citizenship, and by counterfeiting documents. So as I look around, I am naive to believe that the government is capable of providing the types of security that it promises. I believe that if I were to fake these documents, that I would be caught. If I were to make up a social security number, income, and citizenship, there's no way. They're totally going to know, right? Well, 11 out of 18 worked. What does that say? 11 of 12 fake online or telephone applications were approved. 5 of 6 phone applications were successful, with the exception of one caller who declined to give a social security number. But look, if you just make one up, then it'll work. You can't decline to give your social security number, but oh, look, if you make one up, they're going to go through. 6 online applications were initially blocked by the verification system, but the investigators were able to find a workaround by going through the call center. How embarrassing. I mean, the government does a great job, I think, of putting up monuments and symbology that suggests they have this godlike power to determine what is authentic and what is not. Was this government approved? Do you have a real social security number? This is our system. We should know. But they don't. I mean, this is the government's own accountability office trying to break another portion of the government, this Obamacare law, seeing if they can fudge it, get through. And they can. And it's not that hard. It's not like we're seeing numbers like, oh, you know, 10% of them went through. This is 5 out of 6 phone applications were successful. 11 out of 12 fake online or telephone applications were approved. Totally faked. I mean, look at that success rate. Better than 90%. A quote from the Government Accountability Office. The total amount of these credits for the 11 approved applications is about $2,500 monthly, or about $30,000 annually. We also obtained cost-sharing reduction subsidies, according to marketplace representatives, in at least 9 out of 11 cases. So they were giving away all kinds of government money. Here's some for you, here's some for you. Oh, you're making up a social security number? Sure, have some government money. The investigators did not have the same luck with in-person assisters. Assisters. Isn't the language so interesting that they choose here? First, it's marketplace representatives. First of all, they're not a marketplace where people can go and buy and sell of their own free will. You're forced to put your money there. Representatives. Well, who do they really represent? It's not a marketplace, so they're not representing that. They're not representing any people. The people who would be participating in the market, the buyers and sellers, these representatives are really, it's a code word for bureaucrat. That's what it is. Just more bureaucracy. The investigators didn't have the same luck with in-person assisters. They were unable to get help in 5 out of 6 cases. Well, isn't that a surprise? Now, when you're dealing with the government in person, this sort of does match my experience dealing with government bureaucracies. How many times do you go into the DMV, you stand in line, you wait 90 minutes, and then, oh, you have the wrong form, sir. Yeah, you're going to have to go to the back of the line and fill out the yellow form. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you filled out all that correctly, but we're not going to be able to help you with that today. More from what the Government Accountability Office discovered with all of this fake documentation, faking the government. It's all coming down to the taxpayer. The Angel Clark Show will return.
A great new book is hard to find, with today's authors glorifying the state. I have an alternative, and his name is Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. Taryn has written over 20 Liberty-themed short stories, manuals, and books, ranging from nonfiction, humor, horror, and romance to young adult and children's fiction. Read the words that reflect your views. Read Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. A traveler? Well, check out Taryn's free audiobooks, perfect for your lifestyle. Stop supporting authors that support the state. Instead, support lupolit.com.
Did you agree? Did you totally agree? I'll bet that you did. But did you read the agreement? There are 7 billion people on Earth, and there are over 6 billion active cell phone accounts right now. And every one of them came with an agreement. Billions have already agreed to allow entities that they do not know to use and abuse every feature of their mobile devices. Your computer activity is monitored and archived. Your car is tracked, and even your face is scanned. The current power structure grows more fearful every day of your desire for anonymity, independence, free association, freedom of movement, freedom of expression, and your freedom of thought. And entire categories of humans will be targeted. And if they, them, those that won't leave us alone determine that we are not within their control, then we will be categorized as out of control. FreedomsPhoenix.com will launch the next phase of the Levolution by the end of the summer of 2014. And if you have to tell your neighbors about it, then we did it wrong.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges. Start a conversation with your neighbor or your doctor or your family or your school. Now there's teachers and lawyers and business executives, and they all wear shiny badges and they all reject the state. Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges show the world that you reject coercion and aggression and oppression by the state. ShinyBadges.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek Shea
on the Angel Clark Show.
Yeah, welcome to the Angel Clark Show. So we were talking about government accountability. The government's own people even admit when they fake documents, fake social security numbers, fake citizenship, they got more than a 90% success rate of signing up for Obamacare. Except, there is an exception when dealing with government bureaucrats in person. Oh, not so lucky there. Much more difficult to fool them in person. But hey, if you want a better success rate, do it online or over the phone. What do you think about signing up for Obamacare, even if someone doesn't support it? Would you do it anyway? Like, I've heard about people who can sign up for welfare or food stamps. They don't need it, but they could sign up. Are you for that? Would you do it anyway? I'm not sure. I certainly wouldn't. I know for myself that I am not interested, but I hear a strong argument from people who say, well, they took your money. It's your money anyway. Or others who say, it's not my money, but they're going to spend it on bombs. Or more bureaucracy. Well, changing gears slightly, it's on this similar wavelength here. The internet has many dangers. The government tries to control the internet, but that's not really a solution. We need people to be informed about best practices, ways to avoid becoming a victim of your privacy being invaded. Well, now a new invisible web tracking tool bypasses the protections of privacy-conscious web users. And it's already being used by thousands of sites without visitors being aware. ProPublica reports that a single company which uses the fingerprinting technique, touted as a replacement for cookies, uses its scripts in thousands of sites, including whitehouse.gov. It reaches 97.2% of the internet using population in the US. The technique, known as canvas fingerprinting, covertly requires browsers to draw a short message. The user doesn't see this and is not made aware of it. The subtle differences in the way the machine render the text make it easy to identify the machine, even if the user is employing cutting-edge online privacy tools. The unique code can then be used to track users across sites to serve advertisements, even if the user employs online privacy tools to prevent this. Princeton University researchers found that the technique, which works in, quote, a fraction of a second without the user's awareness, was not only theoretically possible, but already in use in more than 5% of the 100,000 sites under test. By crawling the home pages of the top 100,000 sites, we found that more than 5.5% of the crawled sites include canvas fingerprint scripts. In other words, they're making copies of your computer. You visit its fingerprint, and they can serve you advertisements or something much worse without having to, or without being blocked by even the most sophisticated tools. Although, quote, although the overwhelming majority, 95% of the scripts belong to a single provider, which is addthis.com, we discovered a total of 20 Canvas fingerprinting provider domains active on over 5,000 of the top 100,000 sites. Our evaluation of the defensive techniques used by privacy-aware users finds that there exists subtle pitfalls, such as failing to clear state on multiple browsers at once, in which a single lapse in judgment can shatter privacy defenses. So in other words, you're open and exposed on one tab, and on another, you think you're private. But because you're still open on that other tab, the privacy is no more. Many of the sites employing Canvas fingerprinting were using scripts from a single provider. Add this. So if you are looking to see if you've got this on your computer yourself, you might want to go and search your computer for Add This. It's all one word, ADDTHIS, which began testing the scripts in January 2014, according to the researchers. But Add This is not alone. Sites such as dating service Plenty of Fish also employ the technology. Have you been on the website Plenty of Fish? I know I have. So now this is on my computer. This is big news. The researchers suggest that by correlating this information with identifying information provided by cookies, advertising companies are actually, quote, advancing technology beyond the scientific literature. Add This, in particular, employs techniques more advanced than those detailed in previous scientific papers. By requesting a non-existent font, the test tries to employ the browser's default fallback font. What a weird, this is so technical. So it says even sophisticated users face great difficulties in evading tracking techniques. I mean, gosh, I think I'm pretty good about security, but even I don't know about how could, oh, I guess a website could request that certain font be displayed. Like when you go to a website, you know, headlines and the websites, you know, they've all got their own certain font. So I guess it's saying by requesting a non-existent font, the test tries to employ the browser's default fallback font. Wow, this is so weird. So I guess the one that they would use in the case that they don't know which one to use. And it may be used to distinguish between different browsers and operating systems. Wow! This is beyond science fiction. Security tips, tools, and awareness for you in the 21st century. Good thing there's Tails Linux. We can talk about solutions to protect your security when the Angel Clark Show returns. Plus, government-paid trolls are real, so watch out!
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Did you know coffee is the second most absorbent crop on Earth? Most coffee at grocery stores or in chains contains banned pesticides and has a high mold content. Seriously, we're proud to partner with Camano Island Coffee Roasters to provide the best of the best coffee, BuzzBox Coffee. Try a free pound today. You cover shipping. 10% of future purchases benefit our efforts to give the gift of human freedom throughout the world. At least 100 World Vision microfinance loans. For more information, go to coffee.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict, or face increasing punishments, up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government waged wars, and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek J on The Angel Clark Show.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller.
Welcome back to the Angel Clark Show. Yep, I'm Derek J. Welcome. Oh man, this one gives me so much trouble. I saw a headline that Michael Bloomberg was defying the FAA. Yes, the gun grabber, former mayor of New York City, now turned civil disobedient. Wait a minute. I'm someone who believes that good people disobey bad laws. But Bloomberg can't be a good guy. He, as the mayor of New York City, was responsible for all the crime and the gun grabbing, all the bans on trans fats and salt and drinks that were too big, nanny statism. Now he's telling the federal government, no? This guy just sounds like he just does whatever he wants. Well, I can respect a little bit of that. Let's hear this story from Newsmax.com. Defiant Michael Bloomberg flying to Tel Aviv to protest the FAA ban. Kathy Burke writes, a defiant former New York City mayor, Michael Bloomberg, in solidarity with the Israeli people, announced Tuesday night that he'd fly to Tel Aviv to protest a Federal Aviation Administration ban on U.S. carriers there. Quote, this evening I will be flying on El Al to Tel Aviv to show solidarity with the people of Israel and to demonstrate that it is safe to fly in and out of Israel, the billionaire ex-mayor said in a statement posted on his website. Quote, Ben Gurion is the best protected airport in the world, and El Al flights have been regularly flying in and out of it safely. The flight restrictions are a mistake that hands Hamas an undeserved victory and should be lifted immediately. I strongly urge the FAA to reverse course and permit U.S. airlines to fly to Israel. Is Michael Bloomberg finally getting that restricting people's freedoms is wrong? No. This will not translate to any other topic. This will be strictly the FAA's ban, right? He won't suddenly realize that restricting people's freedom of access to large sodas, salt, trans fats, guns, drugs, or whatever people desire, flights to Israel. Restricting people's freedoms hands the enemies an undeserved victory. The FAA said on Tuesday that the ban for at least 24 hours was instituted after a rocket landed about a mile away from Ben Gurion International Airport, the very airport where Mayor Michael Bloomberg is seeking to fly. Other international carriers also suspended flights to Israel's main airport. The ban comes in the wake of the Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 shoot-down over eastern Ukraine, where government troops are battling Russian-supported separatists. According to CNN, at least 41 rockets were fired from Gaza toward Israel on Tuesday in the escalating conflict. Now, they don't say anything about the size of those rockets. I have to be considerate as a news reporter that I've seen some of these videos of rockets from Gaza fired by Hamas into Israel, and they look like firecrackers. I don't mean to diminish the lives lost and those injured. That goes without saying, is a terrible tragedy. But there is a difference in scale when talking about 41 rockets being fired from Gaza toward Israel. Says nothing of whether or not they reached Israel, which has significant weapons defense systems that Hamas and Gaza lack. And if you care to see the videos, they are online, of average people from the Gaza Strip and Israel and these rockets exploding. You can see them on YouTube. So 41 rockets, yes, that's a lot. Yes, it's horrible. But consider the difference in degree. CNN reported that Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes insisted the Obama administration is, quote, not going to overrule the FAA ban on U.S. flights to Israel. So he's going to be in violation of the man himself, President Obama here. This should be a very interesting conflict. I look forward to seeing the video of his flight. Next, government-paid trolls. It's always been a sneaking suspicion in the back of everyone's mind that when you're on Facebook or Twitter that maybe you're talking to some Fed. Well, it turns out that's true. Do you want solid proof that paid government shills are targeting websites, blogs, forums, and social media accounts? For years, many have suspected that government trolls have been systematically causing havoc all over the internet. But proving it has been difficult. The freethoughtproject.com has the report that thanks to leaked documents by Edward Snowden, revealed by Glenn Greenwald, we have hard evidence that the government is doing this. A UK intelligence outfit known as Government Communications Headquarters, well, that's just generic enough to work. Government Communications Headquarters through a previously secret unit known as the Joint Threat Research Intelligence Group. Gosh, all these acronyms, they're meaningless. This one spy outfit connected to another spy outfit has been systematically attempting to, quote, control, infiltrate, manipulate, and warp online discourse. The author at thefreethoughtproject.com writes that this should be deeply disturbing to anyone that values free speech on the internet. It isn't just that the British government is trying to influence what people are thinking. The reality is that this is far bigger than mere propaganda. As Greenwald recently noted on his new website, the integrity of the internet itself is at stake. Greenwald says, quote, by publishing these stories one by one, our NBC reporting highlighted some of the key discrete revelations. The monitoring of YouTube and Blogger, the targeting of Anonymous with the very same DDoS attacks they accuse hacktivists of using. The use of honey traps, destructive viruses, as we just talked about, to control, infiltrate, manipulate, and warp online discourse. What do you think? Could this compromise the integrity of the internet itself? We'll talk about ways to keep yourself safe when the Angel Clark Show returns.
It started in 1913, and it's become a monster. We're on to you. SecretsOfTheFed.com. Discover what's really going on with over 100 daily updates and hourly trending news articles, podcasts, forums, and the newest memes. It's your premier liberty-oriented destination. Don't waste hours sorting through disinformation on the web. SecretsOfTheFed.com.
The Diary of Henry Myers tells the story of the collapse of a tyrannical dystopian empire, Nemsoko, from the point of view of a reluctant hero, Henry Myers. The book is written in diary form at the fall of the tyrannical empire, with flashbacks to before the war that led to the collapse, and has been described as an interesting tale about our world as it is today that the reader almost forgets things aren't quite this bad yet. The Diary of Henry Myers is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
This is the Central Scrutinizer. I steal your labor by force through taxation.
My job is to spy on you and keep you from hearing things like the Freedom Fiends. I especially
do not want you to torrent Freedom Fiends episodes to keep them drone-proof. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
A meme is not easy to define.
What is it?
But you know it when you see it.
Amazing.
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com proves that.
I feel so enlightened.
Don't Tread on Meme, M-E-M-E, helping you give the finger to our monetary system of deception by providing you with silver dime trading cards. Unlike today's dollar, they have value, and they look neat too.
Oh, would you look at those? Aren't those just swell?
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. While you're browsing their numerous silver dime card designs, take time to download the easy-to-use Silver Calculator app. This simple piece of technology lets you know instantly, whether using iPhone or Android, just how much your silver coin is worth. Find out all the details at Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Now accepting Bitcoin. Don't Tread on Meme, your path to a voluntary society with honest money. Don'tTreadOnMeme.com, serving you faster than the Fed prints money.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek J.
On the Angel Clark Show.
That's right, you are listening to Derek J. on the Angel Clark Show. Welcome back. This segment of the Angel Clark Show has been brought to you by a friend of the Angel Clark Show. Yes, that's right. A friend of the Angel Clark Show has responded to the call and is doing what they can to help promote liberty through our listeners. You can do the same. All you have to do is go to the website radiofreedom.us. Once you're there, I want you to scroll down. You'll find a chat room. There, you can interact with some of the other people listening to the show. You'll also see a tab that says Donate. Click on that tab, and you'll see that the Angel Clark Show accepts both PayPal and Bitcoin. Every donation helps. Talking about the government spying and regular people spying. You know, who knows who makes some of these viruses? I'm skeptical. I think it's the government. But regardless of who makes these programs which invade all of our privacy and keeps records on us, there are some people working on solutions. I call them Snowden sticks, and one solution is a USB stick that contains an operating system, the program that your computer uses to run all the other programs. Sort of the root of your computer's brain. Well, there exists one such program that a person can upload to a thumb drive. Carry it around in your pocket or on your keychain. And that program, when placed inside of any computer, can be rebooted and run right from that USB drive. The computer will suddenly no longer look like the computer you know and are familiar with. It will be completely new. It will run a version of Linux operating system which connects all your internet connections and routes them through the Tor browser. Then it wipes everything from the hard drive that it never even writes to the hard drive. It only uses what's called RAM, the temporary memory inside your computer. So the effect of using this tool is that a person can be completely or more anonymous. One could never be completely anonymous. However, one becomes more anonymous. And it's as if the device has amnesia because it forgets everything you've done. When you're finished, just turn that computer off and unplug the device, and your computer boots up the same as it ever did. It's free. You probably have a USB drive that you're not using lying around somewhere. All you need is 2 gigs. That's nothing. You can pick that up at any corner store or CVS for $4. And then you upload this program onto your USB drive, follow a couple of simple instructions. It's all free. This is a great way to protect your privacy. It's portable. Costs almost nothing. Works on almost every computer. And gives you a way to access the internet without revealing all of your private data. Check it out. The project is called Tails Linux. Tails Linux. Tails. As in, I believe it's called the Amnesiac Incognito Live System, because it boots right from the USB drive. This is a real solution for protecting your privacy. Next, I think it's important we talk about a story that hit the news recently of a man who shot at police officers, and the jury found him not guilty. How often do you hear that? A man in Virginia that was charged for firing a gun at police officers. So he was charged. They were attempting to enter his house in the middle of the night unannounced. That's why he's finally been exonerated in a jury trial. Not only did police not announce themselves, they were also at the wrong address. Last January, Brandon Watson of Portsmouth, Virginia, heard his back door rattling and saw shadowy figures dressed in black in his backyard. He grabbed his legally owned firearm and went to see what was going on. When Watson approached his back door, he announced himself and yelled that he was armed. Just then, 2 laser beams drifted across the room and stopped on his chest. At which point, he fired a warning shot in response. Brandon explained to a local reporter, quote, "We ran upstairs very quickly. She saw guys in all black from right here in this window looking down. I announced myself. 'Who is that? Who is that? I have a gun!' And as soon as I said that, 2 red laser beams were on my chest. So I looked at the red laser beams on my chest and I fired a warning shot. After firing a single shot through the window, Watson ran across the street to get help from a neighbor. When he returned to his house, he was surrounded by police, and they ordered him to drop his weapon, which he immediately did. They said, "We just got news you shot at an officer." I said, "An officer? Nobody came to my door. What do you mean, an officer? I didn't know there were any officers in my backyard." Following the intrusion, Watson was arrested and charged with reckless use of a firearm. Well, now, wait a minute. He only fired a warning shot. What about the officers, 2, who had their weapons trained on his chest? They're the ones who violated one of the 4 rules of gun safety. Never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to destroy. Now, if they weren't looking to destroy him, why would they be training their weapons on his chest? He would be perfectly morally justified to fire back lethally when a weapon is trained on his chest. That is classic self-defense. But he, being a man of good judgment, valuing safety, fired only a warning shot when a much more lethal round would have been justified. In the year and a half since the incident, there have been a number of court cases, the first of which Watson was found guilty by a judge. After appealing his case, Watson finally got his trial in front of a jury, who threw out his charge after deliberating for less than an hour. The jury caught the officers in multiple lies throughout the whole course of the trial, and they were struck by the fact that this whole thing could have been prevented had the officers been competent enough to respond to the correct house. Are you skeptical of the police? What would you do in a similar situation? Laser beams pointed at your chest. It's a good thing the jury has some common sense.
People alert! Prepare yourselves!
Admit you're stoned.
I have no soul.
He cannot pick up a knife to cut a steak.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I might consider some toe sucking.
How much pot are you smoking right now?
My ball handling isn't so great.
Inconceivable!
The 27th level of I don't know what you're talking about.
You can't handle the truth. Listen, it's so hardcore, people won't even believe it.
It's a story about love, for Christ's sake.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds good. I mean, I'm not really sure what it means.
Come on!
When I think about him, I feel funny inside.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Do what you want, man. I got no problem with it. But I'm still going to talk about it.
What? You like that?
That was just way too big. That needs to be censored.
Excellent. For more of this insanity, visit blacksheeprising.org. You have been warned.
It's a freaking podcast. Duh.
If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone. 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
More of the Angel Clark Show is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. Silver is trading at $21 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,309 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $624. Antiwar.com reports, fresh off Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman's latest call for a ban on Al Jazeera, the Qatari TV channel has been forced to evacuate its offices in Gaza after Israeli troops fired at them, shooting through the windows of their 11th-story office as they were trying to do reporting from the balcony. Israel has a long history of trying to ban Al Jazeera and has tried to ban it during several of its recent wars, though such bans rarely stick in the wake of the war when pressed in court. Israel's military denied launching any direct attacks on Al Jazeera's offices, but refused to confirm or deny if they had shot at the building in the course of firing on other targets. During the 2008-2009 Israeli invasion, as well as its brief 2012 air campaign, Israel's military repeatedly targeted media outlets perceived as broadcasting unfriendly footage of their conflict. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They now take Bitcoin for purchasing precious metals so you can turn your profits into a long-term investment. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing. 800-874-9760. Reuters reports U.S. judges have their work cut out for them untangling a legal knot created on Tuesday when two federal appeals courts released conflicting rulings hours apart, going to the heart of the role of the federal government in regards to the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. The latest conservative challenge to President Obama's healthcare overhaul will not necessarily land in the U.S. Supreme Court, although it could end up there as soon as this year if the two lower courts continue to disagree. At stake is how millions of Americans pay for private health insurance, or if they can afford it at all. The 2010 Affordable Care Act authorized tax credits to subsidize private health insurance. Seeking to upend the law as it was going into effect, businesses and individuals filed lawsuits asking that the subsidies be declared unlawful, except in states that established their own online insurance marketplaces. Analysts estimate that as many as 5 million people could be affected if subsidies disappear from the federally created marketplaces. The federal government set up insurance marketplaces in 36 states that did not themselves establish exchanges. Tuesday's conflicting rulings created what lawyers call a circuit split. A 3-judge panel in Washington, D.C. voted 2-1 to invalidate subsidies in the 36 states. Hours later, a 3-judge panel in Richmond, Virginia, unanimously ruled the opposite, upholding the subsidies nationwide. Both cases had been pending for months, and both courts are on an equal level in the U.S. judicial system, just below the Supreme Court. Their divide might not last long, though. Some lawyers following the litigation said they expected the full U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit to vote to rehear the case and reverse its panel. During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. The New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union filed suit yesterday against Secretary of State Bill Gardner over a ballot access law that makes it more difficult for parties other than the protected two to get on the ballot. A press release written by Gilles Bissonnette, staff attorney for the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union, reads in part, "The NHCLU filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Libertarian Party challenging HB 1542. HB 1542 is a new state law passed this year that imposes onerous restrictions on the ability of third parties to gain access to the ballot in future elections. This law limits voter choice and stacks the deck against candidates who, like roughly 40% of Granite Staters, don't belong to a major party." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Take the Field's mission is to inform baseball players that physical activity is nothing to be scared of, that a little bit of running can be fun.
Now, Rebecca, this obesity problem is nothing new.
Well, right, there is a culture of obesity in baseball that has been around for years. I mean, coaches even sub in healthy pinch runners instead of encouraging their overweight players to hustle, depriving them of the only cardiovascular exercise they might have a chance to get.
And a lot of these athletes have been playing baseball since they were kids.
Well, right, so they might have never learned any healthy habits.
Baseball is fine in moderation. But many of these men spend over 200 days a year playing it, and that adds up.
The program encourages players once an hour to take a 15-minute break from baseball to do something active, like go up and down some stairs, go for a walk, or play some basketball.
All right, well, thanks, Rebecca. If you're a baseball coach and you're worried about your players' health, go to takethefield.gov for a list of healthy activities and nutritious snacks. Coming up next, does America Brains get worse hearing words correct?
This is the Onion News Network. There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek J on the Angel Clark Show.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and 6 form bars. I wish I was like 6'9" so I could get with Leo. She don't know me, but Leo, she's really fine. You know, I see her all the time, everywhere I go, and even in my dreams, I can scheme a way to make her mine. Cause I know she's living fat.
This is big news. Someone in the chat room sent me a link to a story, headline, gunshots fired at Al Jazeera Bureau in Gaza. Oh, hey, welcome to the Angel Clark Show. This is hour number 2. I'm your host, Derek J. Learn more about me at derekj.me. Shots fired into Al Jazeera's office in Gaza a day after Israeli FM, I guess that's the foreign minister, said Israel will work to close down the network. Gunshots have been fired into Al Jazeera's bureau in the Gaza Strip amid an intensified bombardment campaign on the Palestinian enclave. The shots caused panic among the civilians living in the same building, but no casualties were reported in the incident on Tuesday morning. That's just yesterday. 2 very precise shots were fired straight into our building, Al Jazeera's Stephanie Decker, reporting from the bureau, said. We are high up in the building, so we had a very strong vantage point over the area, but we've evacuated. Our office building also has many residential apartments. People are leaving, panicked. The bureau is situated in a residential area of Gaza City. Al Jazeera's response? Well, the attack came a day after Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman was quoted by local media as saying his country will work to close down Al Jazeera's operations in Israel. Wait a minute. The attack came a day after the Israeli foreign minister was quoted as saying his country will work to close down Al Jazeera's operations? There's nothing suspicious about that. Al Jazeera, quote, has abandoned even the perception of being a reliable news organization and broadcasts from Gaza and to the world anti-Israeli incitement, lies, and encouragement to the terrorists. That, a quote from the Israeli foreign minister. The network has been covering the Israeli offensive against the Gaza Strip that started on July 8th. In a statement issued by its lawyer, Al Jazeera said, quote, the sole purpose of those journalists since the commencement of the current conflict has been to convey what is happening in Gaza to those outside the area and to do so without fear or favor. They are entitled to do this as journalists under international law, and the government of Israel has a duty under international law to provide them with protection, and most certainly not to target them in the manner threatened by Mr. Lieberman yesterday and put into effect today by Israeli soldiers. The death toll in Israel's 14-day assault has climbed to more than 607 Palestinians, including dozens of women and children. more than 3,700 others have been injured. On the Israeli side, 27 troops and 2 civilians have been killed. This is a massacre. On Tuesday, the Israeli army said one of its soldiers was missing in Gaza. Local media said Sergeant Oran Shaul, 21, was presumed dead. Yes, it's a tragedy all around when people die. I wish this conflict would end. I think everyone all over the world just wants peace, but these governments cannot cooperate. They have to continue to use missiles and bombs rather than words. It's really, really something. But there are still some people who are working for peace, even in the worst places, even where it seems utterly hopeless. Not the Middle East. Someplace quite different. I'm talking about the one conscientious objector at Guantanamo Bay. Yes, this news story came out a week ago, but I think it missed a lot of mainstream attention. And if this is going to work, it's going to need all the attention it can get. This story from ViceNews.com. Natasha Leonard writes, "One conscientious objector at Gitmo is great, but it's not enough." The international medical community has long maintained an ethical line against force-feeding. An infectious disease specialist, Kent Sepkowitz, has written, quote, "Without question, it is the most painful procedure doctors routinely inflict on conscious patients. The procedure is, in a word, barbaric. Yet, in Guantanamo Bay, it is daily procedure for a reported 18 hunger-striking detainees. Every day, medical professionals watch strapped down inmates gasp, gag, and choke with streaming eyes as rubber tubes are snaked through sensitive nasal passages into empty stomachs. Despite urging from institutions including the American Medical Association and the New England Journal of Medicine, Gitmo prison staff continue to participate. All of them just following orders. All but one. One nurse, it was revealed this week via human rights group Reprieve, has refused to participate in the force feedings. The nurse, who has not been named, has been assigned other duties at the prison camp. As the first and only medical professional to refuse to force feed, citing ethical grounds, he is to be commended. As Reprieve attorney Corey Kreider told The Guardian, quote, "This guy is basically a hero, and he should be permitted to give care to the detainees that is ethically appropriate." Kreider is right to praise the nurse as a hero. There's a reason that institutional lines don't get crossed more often. There is a risk in crossing them. If rules were truly made to be broken, they wouldn't be rules. Rules and orders can be resisted, but they persist with the assumption that they are to be followed. Herein lies the power and the problem of the hero. A hero is necessarily an exception. It's inherent to the concept. So While the Gitmo nurse deserves praise as a hero, for the brutalized hunger strikers, this is no time for heroes. Or it's no time, at least, for heroes to be forced to stand alone. Will this man get help? Does he have your support? Have you already withdrawn your support from the American Empire? More when the Angel Clark Show returns.
Bitcoin Not Bombs needs your help to hoodie the homeless. We have until October 7th to raise the 47 Bitcoins needed to reach our goal. We are calling on the Bitcoin community to make this happen. You can pledge contributions to the Bitcoin Starter Campaign, purchase a Bitcoin Not Bombs t-shirt, or donate to Bitcoin Not Bombs directly. Every t-shirt sold is priced to pay for one hoodie to keep someone warm this winter. Go to bitcoinnotbombs.com.
A great new book is hard to find, with today's authors glorifying the state. I have an alternative, and his name is Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. Taryn has written over 20 Liberty-themed short stories, manuals, and books, ranging from nonfiction, humor, horror, and romance to young adult and children's fiction. Read the words that reflect your views. Read Taryn Lupo at lupolit.com. A traveler? Well, check out Taryn's free audiobooks, perfect for your lifestyle. Stop supporting authors that support the state. Instead, support lupolit.com.
Attention! Have you been in a serious automobile accident? Then you need to call our attorneys now. We specialize in helping our clients get compensated for major auto injuries. If you've been in any type of car or motorcycle accident and you've been seriously injured, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Our attorneys have recovered millions and millions of dollars for injured clients. There are no out-of-pocket costs to you ever. We only receive a fee when we win your case. We are available 24/7. If you've been in an accident and been seriously injured, make this free call to our attorneys now. Call the Personal Injury Center at 800-648-9173. 800-648-9173. 800-648-9173. That's 800-648-9173. This ad is paid for by participating member law firms. We are not an attorney referral service. Representation may not be.
On LRN.FM, we talk a lot about alternative currencies. Did you know that now you can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals with Bitcoins? LRN.FM has partnered with Amaji Metals to bring you great prices on beautiful .999 fine silver, as well as gold, platinum, and other metals. Check out their selection and pay with Bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used and at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done. Your purchase. Shop on Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
Free press publication. June 2009 and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc, and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek Shea on the Angel Clark Show.
Welcome back. This is the Angel Clark Show. I'm your host, Derek J. Learn more about me at victimlesscrimespree.com. You can see a full-length feature documentary about a few arrests I had here in Keene, New Hampshire. In fact, it's the reason I was denied a concealed carry permit. We'll talk more about that in the segment later, but first, we continue with the story from Vice News about one hero who has the courage to stand up and say, no, I will not participate in torture, in barbarism. I have too much pride. Even if I have to stand alone. Even if it means doing it, whether anyone else does or not. The author continues, herein lies the power and the problem of the hero. The hero is necessarily an exception. It's inherent to the concept. So while the Gitmo nurse deserves praise as a hero for the brutalized hunger strikers, this is no time for heroes. Or it is no time, at least, for heroes forced to stand alone. All the medical professionals at that camp should follow suit. It's the least that should be done in a prison camp that shouldn't exist at all. All that's necessary for a triumph of evil is that good men do nothing, goes the phrase attributed to Edmund Burke, though it's not proven he ever said those precise words. The 18th century statesman and political philosopher did, however, write something along similar lines, quote, when bad men combine, the good must associate, else they will fall one by one, an unpitied sacrifice in a contemptible struggle. He noted that in his Thoughts on the Cause of the Present Discontents. The two phrases, the popular and the precise, transmit the same general proposition. But the latter emphasizes something crucially lacking in the former. The good must associate, it stresses, in a struggle. The more famous saying, meanwhile, seems to put the onus on good men as individuals to resist inaction. The resisting nurse cannot be faulted for inaction. But one good man here is not enough. As a spokesperson for the military Southern Command that oversees Gitmo said, the nurse's protest is being handled administratively. This one ethical act of refusal can be absorbed by military management, and the torturous practices at Gitmo can continue unabated, even while legal challenges mount and international censure has been issued. It is not enough, after all, that people act for good. In the struggle against the horrors of Gitmo, ethical actors must, as Burke urged, associate such that there's no room nor need for heroes at all. A touching story by Natasha Leonard of ViceNews.com, and she's right. While we'd like to believe that one man makes a difference, the military can absorb one refusal. They can manage that. One man with courage is not enough. Others must find courage within themselves to disobey, to follow what Gandhi called the little tyrant within. There's one way that you can make a difference every day by withdrawing your support from the military-industrial complex. No, it would be nice if you refused to pay taxes and that go to building bombs that are dropped on brown strangers overseas. It would be nice if you would refuse to endorse these acts of criminality. But what's even better is if you benefit. That you're not punished but rewarded for your withdrawal of consent. I'm talking about Bitcoin. As Bitcoin thrives, the war machine grows fearful. They depend on fiat currencies to operate. World wars cannot be fought nor won without fiat empires giving endless support, while an ignorant public is taxed without notice. Manipulation of the money supply by central banks permits governments to spend endlessly on wars, on welfare, on destructive projects around the world. Well, Bitcoin is providing an exit from that old world, one which more and more individuals are utilizing. Just this week, Bitcoin hit the front pages of my local newspaper as businesses brag that they're the first to adopt the technology. If small local businesses can adopt Bitcoin, separating themselves from the fees of Visa, MasterCard, and the big banks, what do you think will be happening next? Do you use Bitcoin? Have you declared your financial independence? It's one very real way to separate yourself from the wars, the military-industrial complex, the predation, and instead turn to peace.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become. It's really the reason why I am is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit.
Let me turn off the AC.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you. It's the button all the way to the right.
The big one that says power?
Yeah, that's the one.
Never would have guessed.
Well. Okay, come on in here. I titled this episode Pro-Gun Angels. I don't think I've talked about guns once. Oh yeah, there was that one guy who was not convicted by the jury. They did not convict him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, did you hear about that? He shot at police who entered his house.
Oh yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, okay. So, let's see. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm doing a mic check on me. This is pretty good.
Check.
Pretty good.
Check.
Yep, you look
Mic
good
check.
too. You look good too. All right, we got you. I'm gonna just move the. Would you mind getting a little? Actually, no. You're close enough. We're gonna be in here too tight. And all right. Nice. All right. This is great. Awesome, Daryl. I'm excited. I'll put the ads back on.
Them continues to be a deep well
And,
of wisdom and guidance, even 15
I guess
years
you don't-
after it was delivered.
You
Classmates
don't get
confirmed that while
directly
friends in
with
other
me.
universities
No,
heard
that's
from
fine.
such figures as Jimmy
Because we're not
Carter,
talking
Kurt
to guests,
Vonnegut,
so-
and the
Right.
Dalai Lama,
I don't
the
even know why I have
inspirational
to
words of
So
Virginia's
To hear the
16th
bumper
governor
music.
continues to
I've got
profound.
Whenever I face a dark moment in my life, I just think back to Governor Gilmore's speech, and it almost instantly puts things back into perspective. It's like he said, go forward, be successful, and achieve your hopes and dreams and aspirations. All I can say is I hope I lived up to that incredible lesson.
And in local news, a 5-year-old figures he has about a year left of peeing at urinals with his pants all the way down. In other news, using the amount of toothpaste shown in commercials is a disgusting experience. A grizzled proofreader has seen it written both ways, and a cackling Warren Buffett burns his entire fortune in front of the nation.
This is the Onion News Network.
Oh, sorry. Would you turn
If you
off the
enjoy
AC again?
LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their
Sorry about
websites
that.
and become an amplifier
It was
at
worth the, like, 30 seconds that
amp.lrn.fm.
we
That's
got out of it.
amp.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek Shea on the Angel Clark Show.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6-form parlor. I wish I was
Welcome back to the Angel Clark Show. We are talking about Bitcoin and how Keene, New Hampshire, and the Keene Sentinel, the local paper here, just made headlines for all the businesses that accept Bitcoin. I see it as an exit strategy for people who want to escape the dollar, fiat empires, want to withdraw consent from the military-industrial complex. It is a real solution. We will be bringing you that article shortly. But first, I'm joined in studio by Daryl W. Perry.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good to be with you, and it's great to add your voice to this episode of the Angel Clark Show. Now, we were talking earlier about an exciting journey that you're talking about taking. First of all, for folks who don't know who you are, you do several things. You have a podcast, a newspaper, several podcasts, in fact. You do a live show as well as a pre-recorded show, all at fpp.cc.
Yeah, fpp.cc is where you can find everything, the written versions of Daryl as well as the audio. The audio I also have a specific website for, and that's fppradio.com.
Very cool. So what project are you working on, Daryl, that you want to share with the audience?
Well, about a month and a half ago, I came across a minibus. For people that aren't aware, a minibus, you know, a short school bus.
Yes.
Wound up getting it from the YMCA, or one of the YMCAs that's near the Seacoast in New Hampshire, and I am working on getting that converted into a tiny portable house. And I found out that bus apparently is a legal term.
Really?
That means vehicle with the capacity for 16 or more passengers plus a driver.
And how did you even determine that? How did you discover that bus is a legal term?
Well, I was looking at various ways to register the vehicle.
I see.
And I was looking in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has very cheap registration for buses. But buses have that definition of 16 or more passengers plus a driver, and actually require a CDL to operate.
So you need a special license from the Wisconsin government just to operate a quote-unquote bus, a van that will carry 16 or more passengers?
Right.
So you need a special approval.
This is not a bus.
Wait a minute.
I have, well, when I obtained it, it only had seating for 14 passengers plus a driver. And the YMCA did that so that their people did not need the CDL to drive.
No way.
So I have removed even more seats, put in a bed, and so I only have seating capacity for 2 people plus the driver, so it is not a bus.
I love that.
And I've been calling it the not a bus.
Right. Because it's about like over-compliance or compliance in ways they don't like. I love to focus on issues of civil disobedience, straight out not complying. Earlier we talked about a Guantanamo Bay nurse who's just not obeying the order to force feed those prisoners.
Good.
I applaud that. That's what people should be doing, disobeying bad laws. But here you are complying with bad laws, sort of, because you're saying, well, hey, I'm going to follow your rules. This isn't a bus. I'm following your definition, so I don't need to
Right, and
get a CDL.
It's kind of like the people that go around and put money in people's parking meters. It's civil obedience,
Yeah.
to where you're finding loopholes in their rules and then exploiting them.
I think there are so many of those, Daryl. Like at first, when I started my journey in activism, civil disobedience really appealed to me. I think because it's so obvious. It's like, oh, that's a bad law. Disobey it. But one thing that hadn't occurred to me was the value of civil obedience. Finding these areas where the government really wishes you don't comply. Because they benefit when you don't pay your meter, for example.
Right.
They give you a ticket.
Or even if you do pay the meter, but it takes you 2 extra minutes in the store than what you expected. And it's only government services where you prepay for what you think you're going to get.
Right.
I have never gone to a private parking lot to where the parking attendant said, okay, so how long do you expect to be in my lot? You pay me now, and then if you're a minute late, I will charge you $5 extra.
Right, right. And if you're early, well, you don't get any benefit. from
Right,
that.
you don't get a refund.
Yeah.
Now, I have been to private parking lots to where if you are under a certain amount of time, they don't charge you. So, for example, if you're in and out of the hospital in less than 30 minutes or 90 minutes, then there's no fee for that first amount of time. But if you go over, then they start charging.
So tell me more about this van and your project. You're traveling in this.
Well, not at the moment. The plan is to wind up traveling and taking the Not a Bus on the road across country. And right now I have 4 destinations in mind of where I want to go.
Where do you want to go?
First off, I am going to be in Manchester, New Hampshire for the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, March 5th through the 8th.
Oh, that's in Manchester this year.
That is in Manchester this year. They have outgrown the Crown Plaza.
Wow!
So
You know, we were just playing a clip on the Bitcoin Talk Show from last Liberty Forum of Bruce Fenton of the Bitcoin Foundation, or Bitcoin Association, one of those organizations. He's in Bitcoin. Was speaking at Liberty Forum. I mean, this place gets big names. So you're going to be going to Liberty Forum in Manchester. Sorry, I'm sidetracked. But
Right.
that's happening in Manchester.
That's
where
happening
you'll
in
be.
Manchester. I plan on leaving after that event.
Wow.
And going down to Pensacola, Florida, and visiting not only the fine folks at Roberts & Roberts, but also the people over at Sean's Outpost.
Oh, that's right, because they're both in the same
They're
place.
both in the same city. I then want to head to Austin, Texas for the Texas Bitcoin Conference, which is the, I think, 26th through 29th of March.
Okay, so that'll still be March.
It's about 3 weeks after the Liberty Forum.
Man, how soon do you plan on traveling at each of these places? Are you just going to be stopping there and camping out for a little while, or do you plan on stopping like at steps along the way in between?
Well, based on the time frame for getting down to Pensacola, and then to Austin, I will either have one stop before Pensacola or one stop after Pensacola. But because I want to make sure that I'm in Austin by the 25th of March.
You got to be there for the Bitcoin conference. That's a big deal.
And then after that, I plan on going somewhere, stopping somewhere else, possibly Texas, New Mexico, visiting Arizona. I definitely want to go see Ernest Hancock in Phoenix.
Have you ever been?
I have. It's been several years. And I've got some great friends in Sedona, Arizona that I want to make sure that I go out and see them. They're running a bed and breakfast plus a horse therapy thing. And they take Bitcoin.
There's some great activists in
the horse
Arizona.
therapy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with horse therapy.
No.
To where people that either have some sort of mental issues or children, younger people that are sick, a lot of times being around animals can bring positive energy and encouragement. So it's sort of adding a spiritual aspect to the regular therapy that they would be getting. And so I want to go out and visit my friends there, see what they're doing. And then somewhere after Sedona, I want to spend about a week and a half in Arizona. After that, I plan on going to Denver, visiting the people at Amagi Metals, seeing what's going on there in Denver. And then I've got like another month of just open time.
Wow.
But people can add places to my schedule.
Where do they do it?
I'll tell you in the next segment.
All right. Stay tuned. This is the Angel Clark Show. We will return with Daryl W. Perry. Peace, love, liberty, radio.
Energy, vitality, clarity of mind, and incredible immune support. The awesome power of nature is now in your hands. Hi, this is Sean from One with Nature. Our herbal formulas contain some of the greatest potential around the world. They are ready and willing to help you achieve your goals. Visit us at onewithnature.com. That's WON withnature.com.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose other great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
The warning signs.
First, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me. About my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
There's probably police at your door because you're listening to Derek Shea
on the Angel Clark Show.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Angel Clark Show. I'm your host, Derek J., filling in for Angel this evening. It's been a blast. You can find out more about me at derekj.me. We're speaking with Daryl W. Perry of FPP.cc. And you're going on an adventure. You're a van dweller, aren't you?
Technically, it's not a van either. I dwell in a not a bus.
Okay. It's a unique, one-of-a-kind thing. It's called Not a Bus. And you want to take it around the continent.
Well, not the entire continent, because I'm not going into Mexico, not going into Canada.
But it's what I refer to as this general landmass, because I prefer not to say country, because there is no such thing as a country. That's in our imagination. But there is a continent, and you will be traversing it in your Not a Bus.
Yes, that's the plan. Of course, I need to raise funds in order to be able to pull this off.
And to do that, you've created a website. What is it?
I have created a campaign on GoFundMe.
That's right.
So you can go to gofundme.com/FPPCC. That's Free Press Publications, Creative Commons. And you will see on the front page there,
I'll do a screen
map.
share for us, so those who are watching this on YouTube later on can see the map themselves. So here it is.
Yeah, so you will see a map. And what I have done is, on this map, highlight it, or not really highlight it, but pinned the cities that I am definitely going to. And you will see that there's large areas that are encircled, or actually more ellipsicaled. And that signifies I'm willing to go anywhere in this area on my way between these destinations.
Very cool.
And people can actually wind up adding places to my map. And the way they do that is by donating to fund the trip. And what I have written in the pitch is, if you have a college group, such as Students for Liberty or Students for Sensible Drug Policy, or any other sort of liberty-oriented sort of group, and you would like me to come speak to your group, if your group donates a certain amount, and I believe it's $500, then I will make sure that I stop in your city, stay there for a couple of days, and talk to your group, hang out with you and your crew. And I have other options on there. If you run a business and you want some advertising, then you can donate a certain amount, and I will put your logo on the side of the Nautilus.
Wow. So there's even some sponsorship possibilities here. So people could, just like Motorhome Diaries, I think, used to do.
Yeah.
They got a lot of mileage, no pun intended, out of that advertising. That they had sponsors on the sides of their vehicle.
And I've got a tentative schedule on here, and of course, some of the dates are dates that cannot be shifted. Like, I can't move the date of when I need to be back in New Hampshire.
Right.
I can't move the date of when I need to be in Austin, Texas, because the Bitcoin conference isn't going to move a day if I'm not there.
Right.
But everything else is pretty much up in the air of when I get there, when I leave. But the plan right now is I want to stop in at least 10 cities. And when I say stop in 10 cities, I mean stop, talk to a Liberty group, or meet some people at a Liberty meetup, some sort of event.
Yeah, not just passing through for a burger. You're actually going to talk to people.
Stay there for a few days.
Yeah.
And the radio show that I'm currently doing, Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, if this trip winds up happening, I'm actually going to turn it into a several-day-a-week podcast.
Oh, right.
And do like 30-minute podcast updates about how the trip's going, who I've been meeting, what sort of things are going on, and stories about how Liberty is spreading in other places. And of course, I would love to recruit people to come to New Hampshire.
Yes.
Because I do think that it's the best sort of thing going out there for people to find liberty in their lifetime.
This is true.
That's not to discount the work that is being done in other places.
Right. There is great work being done for the cause of liberty all over. Ernie Hancock has a stronghold in Phoenix, Arizona. John Bush in the Austin, Texas area. And what are some others that you're looking forward to visiting? You mentioned
Pensacola, because I
right.
really like what they're doing there at Sean's Outpost.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, wait a minute. Tell me about the perks, because people can make this a reality, and they even get rewarded for it. And we've got some of the perks here on screen.
Yeah, so please pop those back up, because I don't remember what they are off the top of my head.
I like the way that they're named. Yeah, you've got Dogecoin, Copper, Next, Silver, Bitcoin, and Gold.
And there's one more. If you scroll down, there is Platinum.
Whoa.
So
tell me about these perks.
Yeah, so the Platinum perk, I don't really expect to get a Platinum donor, but I have it there in case somebody would like to put down $2,500 towards the trip. And that person or business, because most likely it's going to be a business that does this, they would get a library of books that I have published.
Wow.
Meaning I will give them one copy of every book that I've published. I will put their
logo. How many books have you published?
It's up to around 20 right now.
Whoa! I had no idea, Daryl.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So they will get a library of books. They will get their logo on the side of the Nautilus, and they will get an ad in the daily FPP radio news that I have now been producing for 172 consecutive days.
Wow. And how long will those ad spots continue? During the duration of your trip?
Yes.
Excellent. Wow.
So
that's
during
tremendous
the
value.
duration of the trip, and because ad space is limited, I only have 2 of those available. They will also get the option of adding a destination to my trip.
Oh, that's terrific. So if they want to, say they live in South Dakota and they're on the way back to New Hampshire, you just say, hey, stop over here along the way.
I
give
would
a
swing
speech.
through South Dakota after Denver.
I follow. Tell me about some of these other perks. What
So
else is going on
the
here?
gold, it's, again, one of the higher level. It's a $1,000 sponsorship. They would get pretty much everything that the Platinum does except for the ad in the daily newscast.
Right.
So they would still get their logo on the side of the Not a Bus. They would get to, if they wanted to, they would get to add a destination to my trip. And again,
how long is this trip going to last?
The trip is going to be a total of 104 days.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So that's a decent chunk of time.
I have
a little over 3 months.
I've worded on here they can add, and that sort of gives me the out of if somebody in Miami.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely nowhere along the route.
Yeah.
And
Miami would be
would
great to
add
visit.
right. It would just add a tremendous cost that I would not really be able to afford.
Right.
So,
I think Carlos Miller's there, though, so you might want to check out Photography is Not a Crime.
Yeah, so if you do go to GoFundMe.com/FPPCC, again, I had mentioned that you will see areas that are sort of covered by any lips. That's a general guideline of which cities I'm going to, and I don't really know how the map program I used determined the expanse between the two cities, but that just gives sort of a guide of where I'm going, where I'm heading, and what is generally in the area. So, for instance, I'll be in Austin, Texas. If somebody in Dallas gave the appropriate amount of money to wind up adding that as a destination, that's not that far outside of those little ellipses. So Dallas would definitely be doable. Oklahoma City would be doable. But South Florida, definitely not. Seattle, Washington is possible.
I think we got it. GoFundMe.com/FPPCC is how you can donate to make it possible. Real quick in the remaining minute here, tell us about the front page story in Keene, New Hampshire. Why are businesses accepting Bitcoin? It's all because of you, Daryl.
Well, I wouldn't say it's all because of me, but I definitely had a lot to do with it. There are 3 businesses in downtown Keene that have, or actually 2 in downtown Keene, 1 in the outskirts in Marlboro, that all accept Bitcoin. I got all of those set up with Bitcoin.
We'll have to talk about that next time. That does it for this episode of The Angel Clark Show. I've been your host, Derek J. Find out more about me at victimlesscrimespree.com. Check out Angel's show 5 days a week at radiofreedom.us and noarmycanstopanidea.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more